really the goal is just to use our stories to bring veterinary medicine to life for the pet caretakers of the world. And we're doing it because we believe that educating these caretakers is the most powerful thing that we can do to improve the life quality of all of the pets that we love. Hi, Dr. Natalie Keith.
Dr. Josiah Dame.
And it's Vet Tales. We're back.
We're back.
Yeah, it's not like we're just going to struggle through this a little bit. The echo in this room is way worse than we thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
The dog crying in the background because his owners just dropped him off for his dental procedure is extremely loud.
Yeah. There's nothing we could do about that.
And we're super tired. Like, we meant to get back to this a lot sooner. And the move into the new building was much harder than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, it was no joke.
Yeah, the move out, tornado happened, we moved out, and it was like, hey, you just got to do what you got to do, and like making the best of it. But moving back in, there was like this deadline and everything's supposed to be perfect. And the networking.
It took the tech probably a month to catch up to.
Yeah.
Which was the hardest part.
Oh, really was.
It was so hard.
It was so hard.
Like, label printers weren't working for like 2 weeks, which...
Yeah.
Got a handwritten label. I'm so sorry.
Or the phones would just randomly go down.
Or they would just randomly hang up on people.
Yeah. Or the internet would just crash.
For a month and we're talking.
Yes.
To the system
and you would get it fixed and then all of a sudden it wasn't again and we have to transfer stuff. It was, people are like, you must be so excited to be in the new building. And you're like, yeah, we are. Because it's not that we weren't, like, we're super grateful for the building, but it was just like, I guess it's like.
You expected to be smooth.
Yeah.
And then it wasn't.
Yeah.
Okay.
I feel like it maybe is like people's wedding day, like where it's like, oh, it's your magical day. And meanwhile, the bride in the back is crying and pulling her hair out. And
that's why I eloped.
Preach. Elopement for all. Oh my gosh. Okay. So anyway, we made it back. We're just definitely later than we intended to be. We were going to do it last week and then my internet was down and then we were going to do it on Friday and then my son got sick. And so here we are.
Mm-hmm.
And we made it.
Better than ever. Round
2. And then we'll keep working on the echo. So if you're listening right now and you want to just like pull your hair out because of the echo, I'm sorry. It's in progress. At least the dog's not crying now.
Yeah. They probably brought up something.
Yeah.
Calm down.
Yeah, probably so. Something, or someone's carrying him.
Or brought him a snack.
Yeah. So, okay. What are we talking about today?
We're talking about heat.
Yeah.
Particularly heat stroke, but also heat-related injuries.
Yeah.
It's very topical because yesterday and today, as I was told by meteorologist Damon Lane.
Oh, yeah.
The NOAA is now adding a category to the level of heat waves, similar to what we see with severe weather days.
Yeah.
Level 1, 2, 3, etc. Yesterday and today, we are in a extreme category 4.
Is there a higher category?
I think 4 is the highest.
Okay.
The duration level, this level is rare.
Yeah. Woo.
Or long duration extreme heat with a little to no overnight relief affects anyone without effective cooling, adequate hydration.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to also just tap into live because it's been a hot minute. Yeah. So just ignore me as I try to figure out how to make that happen for us. I don't remember both fit. Oh, maybe. Okay. So anyway, what else? What else are we going to go over besides the heat strokes? We're going to talk about hot feet or
heat strokes, hot feet. Those are the big 2.
Yeah. And then I thought maybe, hi, live people. It's been a minute. We're trying to get back in the podcast swing.
Hi, everybody.
Dr. Dame over there. We're talking about heat related issues. So yeah, it's miserably hot. I'm so tired because I was actually out dealing with massive amounts of grass because the mower wasn't working and the grass got too tall. And then we mowed and then there was like little tiny haystacks but then I had to rake up and then we had to get the tractor and put the grass in it and then dump it. into a burn file for later.
My grass is also high right now, and I'm not about it.
Don't. Like, I'll never.
Just not.
I will never ever get.
Not at 8 p.m.
You know what? I might just for fun post my picture of my mini tiny hay bale row, haystacks. Anyway, so yes, too hot for that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about heat strokes. Mostly dogs.
Yes, mostly dogs. Probably because most cats are going to be inside for the most part.
Or
They just regulate.
they just don't do dumb things. Yeah, they just go lay in the shade and sleep instead of running the fence lane and like barking at the neighbor's dog or whatever dogs do.
Yes, so heat stroke. Any dog can get heat stroke, definitely in this weather.
Yeah.
Now that we all know that we're in a category 4.
Yes, thank goodness that we have a name for it. Having a name for something is really powerful.
It is. So category 4 heat wave, all dogs who are outside are at risk.
Mm-hmm.
The more common dogs to develop heat stroke are going to be our brachycephalics, which we pick on all the time, I feel like, on accident.
I know, the snorted forks.
The pug, the French bulldog, the really short muzzled Boston Terrier. So they are not going.
And the English bulldog,
English bulldog.
like literally, if it's like 78 degrees outside, it's too hot for them. So I don't know how they stay alive. It's a miracle. Anyway.
Why are they the more common to develop heat stroke?
Well, I think that it is because that they have the most marked of the brachycephalic conformation on a larger frame. Plus, their hypoplastic trachea, meaning there's little tiny small straw-like trachea compared to body size, puts them even more increased risk.
Yeah, they don't have that surface area of cooling.
Yeah.
You know, in the air that they're breathing in, it's like coming in hot.
Yeah.
Because they don't have a longer snout.
And a lot of them will have elongated soft palates, which is obstructing airflow as well. So that just a lot of obstructive barriers to getting air into and then back out of the body.
Yeah. So just kind of run through what you may see in the heat stroke patient. So you have a dog, he was outside, a very common thing. And even I've been really diligent this week because I can do this on accident. I can let my dog out to go pee and then I get distracted with like Milo, my son or something. And I'll be like, crap, dog's been out for like 30 minutes.
Yeah.
He's a dachshund. He doesn't get too hot. He knows to come into the shade area, but I normally will let him right back in, 2 to 3 minutes later. Let's say I accidentally leave him out for, 2 to 4 hours in the backyard. I see that he's agitated. He's panting excessively. I bring him inside and he is just not calming down. And he's like getting tired from all this panting. His gum color is a little injected, which means like deep red.
Yeah.
That's how you know that they're starting to go into this heat stroke.
Yeah, the tongue is all the way out with the pant. Instead of just like a cute little open mouth pant, we have like this big out lolling tongue. And sometimes they'll even lay on their sides and pant laying down sideways. That's when you know they're super hot.
They're super, super hot. And it's weird, or it's not weird, but it's interesting because that behavior, like it's supposed to cool them down, but they do get to a point where it's almost like they've worked themselves up so much that it's like this cycle.
Because they're,
gonna cool down.
It's almost like a person hyperventilating at some point.
Mm-hmm.
And they're working so hard at their panting movements that they're actually generating more heat anyway.
At what point do you say?
That's a great question. Because I mean, really what we're going to do if the dog gets here is try to, get the body temperature back down. So some things you can do at home first that I've actually seen clients do and be relatively successful with is to rinse them off with cool water. Like you can put them in put them in the bathtub and just put the shower kind of hose over them, get their feet cool. Dogs will definitely regulate body temperature through their feet a lot.
Yep.
Make sure they've got water, get a fan on them.
Yep.
You can put indirect ice packs on them, especially on their belly or under their armpits, that kind of thing.
Commonly, we spray their feet and their belly with alcohol. So if you have 70% isopropyl, just spray that onto their feet and their belly. That will help because, the sooner they get cooler, the better.
Uh-huh.
So if you start some of those things and then make your way to a veterinarian, you're going to help
Yeah.
the situation.
Yeah. So I would say the point where I would take them is if I've got a dog laying on its side, panting, tongue out, breathing rapidly, and it's been more than like 10 minutes, or if you're having a hard time getting them to be like engaged with you mentally.
Yep.
Then I would just like immediately come. I wouldn't even wait the 10 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And just in the meantime, like on the way, or if let's say you're in an area where you're going to have to go to an emergency hospital, they may be 2-3 hours out before they can help your dog, and which is terrifying. So be doing those other things in the meantime. And then the step that we're going to take that you're going to have a hard time doing is setting IV catheter and running IV fluids.
A lot of fluids.
Real fast. So, and then you don't so if you want to know how hot your dog is in this situation, because really what we're talking about is their internal body temperature is elevating to a point that is dangerous to their organ systems. So, get a thermometer. Everybody that has a dog, good luck if you have a cat with this. I don't know, it's worth it. But with a dog, get a rectal thermometer. So just like a normal digital thermometer, like that we used to use in the 80s, where you put it under your armpit, like before all the forehead scanners and stuff. Anyway, you're just going to put it in the rectum, not very far, like about, just to hide the little metal piece at the end, maybe the depth of your thumbnail, and read the temperature. And if it is like 105, you need to seek medical care If it's 103 to 104, work on it at home if you feel comfortable. And then once they drop down to like I would say you get at their body temperature to drop 2 degrees. So if you started at 104, you get down to 102. If you start at 103, really anytime you hit 102, stop, because you don't want to actually overdrop them.
Yeah.
Which is more important for us with IV fluids.
So normal is 102.
And
at home.
Yeah.
We'll clock them at 102.5 if they're jumping off the table here.
Yeah. Or they've been like in a hot car on their way up here, black labs out in the sun.
They can, and it's not about, because like we see dogs with fevers of 105 and they're sick with some kind of infection potentially, and they're not like passing out.
Great.
It's about how quickly they got there.
Yeah. And why they're there too, as well.
Yep. And later signs of heat stroke are going to be seizures, decreased responsiveness, like Dr. Keith was saying, vomiting, diarrhea, weakness, collapse, unsteady gait, drooling. So a lot of neurological things.
Yeah. Yeah. And the GI thing is probably one of the most common. I will actually see bloody diarrhea the next day on almost all my heat stroke patients.
It's just a response of the body due to the amount of stress that it went through.
Absolutely. They basically, what's happening in this kind of hyperthermic shock status is the blood is, kind of being diverted, and it's causing shock to those intestinal walls. And then the next day, all that tissue that was traumatized will slough, and then we get bloody poo.
Yep.
Pretty much. Yeah. Sometimes it's really, really fast.
Yes.
Like it can happen during the heat stroke, but like if it's a more mild one, usually the next day.
But yeah, our biggest treatment is IV fluids, ASAP, even
alcohol spray, ice packs.
Ice packs not directly contacted on skin.
Yeah, you don't need another problem.
Yeah.
So yeah, and
it's a big one.
Yeah. Certainly, and I think the biggest thing, again, it just goes back to prevention with the brachycephalics, because those dogs sometimes will just straight die before you realize there's a problem.
Because they do go into those panting episodes just on the regular sometimes.
Oh, gosh. They come into the exam rooms and I'm stressing out, and it's like winter.
I know.
And they still can't breathe.
Stress alone.
Yeah.
Yeah. So be extremely careful with them. And some things that we can do some steps we can take to limit heat stroke from happening that we can go over. Do not leave your dogs in your cars, definitely on days like today. I think the threshold, don't be very careful with car temperature.
Yeah, it does not take long at all.
It does not take long at all for it to get hot. Know that the brachycephalics are at higher risk, so be more attentive to those dogs when they're out in the backyard going potty. And then limit activity. In Dallas, people would come in all the time with like obese dogs, and they'd be like, I need to exercise more with him, or it's summertime, so we're walking more. And I'm like, no.
Yeah.
Don't
Yeah. Unless it's
actually
5 a.m. Yeah.
I'm like, either walk before the sun is not up, because this is a concrete, just heating pad, DFW, or just cut back their food. I'm like, I love that you want to increase his exercise.
Or do swimming.
Or
Like if you have
something
access
that's
to,
cool.
yeah.
But I don't want to see your overweight Labrador coming in for heat stroke because you went on an hour-long walk at 11:30 noon.
Right. Yeah.
And it was so common in Dallas. I'd be driving down the road and I'd see people walking their huskies at like 2:00.
Oh my gosh.
And be like, I wanted to roll down my window and be like, go inside.
Before it's too
not
late.
The time. It's
No.
not the time.
Yes. Rearrange your schedule ever so slightly.
Yes.
Anyway, yeah. So I think that's awesome. And then of course, shade, when, like, if you can set up a fan, like if you have a dog that, like, I have a big dog and I have 2 dogs. One comes with me to work every day. The other does not, because he's a 90-pound 2-year-old German Shepherd with a lizard brain. And so he stays at home and he'll be in the backyard. And so he's got a giant shaded porch of like ceiling fans and, you know, multiple sources of water. And so that's kind of how we navigate that. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's, you know, sometimes part of life, but you just got to make sure, you know, don't have them out where there's no shade ever. Like they've got to have shade, and you've got shade trees. Like we have big, like on one side of the yard, on the opposite side of the porch is like these gigantic trees. And so I don't feel concerned about the heat for him there. But my 12-year-old Bully, there's no way I would leave him outside in the backyard all day. Like even in the shade and the water with the fan on the porch, like none of that. He would just
burn up.
Yeah, get too hot.
Yep. Don't forget the power of a kiddie pool.
Oh, yeah.
You get a kiddie pool in the backyard, definitely on days like yesterday and today.
And then change the water at least every 48 hours so you don't have mosquitoes, which carry heartworms. That's a different podcast episode.
But don't underestimate the power on super hot days like this.
Yeah, I mean,
in the shade.
Yeah.
Don't put it out in the sun, because then you're just making a hot bath.
Yes. Evaporation is a cooling process.
Yeah. Exactly.
Okay, cool. So other things to be aware of, like especially thinking about those huskies walking during lunch or whatever, is hot pads. Don't take them on that hot concrete. Like dogs have really thick pads, right? But it's still flesh.
Yep.
And I've seen them burn their paw pads off.
A lot.
It'll just blister their entire little thick callousy keratin pad off. And that hurts like the dickens.
Yes. And this is again more of a city thing, if people are not listening in Shawnee, because Shawnee dog parks are just grass. But the dog parks in Dallas and some of the cities, they're turf, or some of them are just straight up like concrete.
Yeah.
Not great. The turf gets so hot.
Yes.
Some turf is basically just ground up tire. Like tire material.
Yes.
And it will just burn their feet.
Yeah.
Literally.
We went to the zoo the other day, and they have this little section with this little waterfall rocky area. Yeah. And and they have surrounding it is like that plastic grass.
Yeah.
And so it looks like grass, and you take your shoes off to walk across to the rocks to the water, you know, so you don't get your shoes yucky or whatever. That plastic grass is astronomically hotter than the rock itself.
Yes. It's so much harder than concrete.
Yep.
Awful.
If you're not sure, put your hand down on it. And if you can't keep your hand down on it comfortably for like 10 seconds, don't make your dog walk on it.
No. Because it really doesn't take that long for them to blister. And then essentially the pad will blister and then it peels away, leaving red, pink tissue underneath, raw tissue. If that happens, try to put some kind of cover on it and then get them to us.
Yeah.
We'll bandage it. Typically, we end up bandaging them for a week or two, and it resolves.
Yeah. I mean, because you've got 2 issues happening. One is it's like the pain. It's just like back to my raking the grass situation. I might have gotten 4 blisters across my hand right here. And that tissue that's underneath when you pop a blister like that is exactly what these dogs are trying to walk their entire body weight upon.
Yeah.
And then the other big issue is, of course, feet touch the ground. Ground has germs. Now we don't have a barrier. So now infection is a really big risk.
Yep. And licking, because they will go to
and then they'll chew the surround.
So they can do a lot more damage than just the bird itself with the licking and chewing. So like we need to get a cone on them. So if it happens and you like can't get to a veterinarian right away, go get a cone, put it on them. Put something over their feet, like socks over their feet, just to.
Yeah, and you can get those nonstick like Telfa pads. So it's so well, I mean, but then you gotta put socks over it so they don't just Telfa pad. But like it's like what's in the little square Band-Aids, like in the middle. It's like that, but they're bigger, and you just put that over the foot. If you can like kind of put some tape there somehow, like bandage tape, and then put a sock over it, that'll get you by. Just to get into a veterinarian as soon as you can after that. But that's kind of the big and personal story. Marching band. No. In high school. This is a really terrible story, but it like brings point to the turf, and a lot of people are shifting to turf and the like communal like dog because they cleans kind of nicely. I would say not better than grass, but I don't know. But we were marching, and it was middle of the day. It was marching band competition. The color guard in their costume wasn't wearing shoes because it was part of like the theme. We have a grass field at Shawnee High School, so it's not a problem. Right. At all. Competition day, I think it was in Yukon, like closer to, it's the beginning of the school year, so it's still technically summer. So like August. Hot. Yeah. They take a couple steps onto the turf, the girls, and they their feet got burned, like 30-degree burns. Oh my gosh. Pretty quickly. A lot of them still finished it, which is crazy. I would have ran off right off the field. No doubt. And just been like, I'm wearing my shoes. Finished. Yeah. But the turf is freaking hot. Yeah. I was shocked with my experience of it as well. Yes. I'm scared of turf. Yes, as we all should be. Yeah. It's terrifying. It'll burn your feet. It will. So, okay. So no hot cars. Shade. Concrete. Yeah, careful of the concrete. Shade, water, kiddie pools, short stints outside for more sensitive creatures. Yeah. Especially your older dogs or the short-nosed dogs. And it really does also come down to lifestyle. Like, if a dog is used to being outside. Yeah. Now, days like yesterday and today where it's like category 4, like I said, Heatwave, maybe nobody can handle that super well for long periods of time. But my dog growing up who was outdoor primarily could handle a lot more heat than my dachshund that stays used to it. There's an acclimation part of that for sure. Yeah. So anyway, so yeah, it's not like the most medically riveting podcast we've ever done, but super practical. Yeah, super important. Will save lives. And if someone's not aware of those skill or like those tips or tricks. The other thing I would just say, just because it's almost 4th of July, is microchip your pets, especially if they have phobias of the fireworks. Your veterinarian can help you with anxiety medication for those events, and like make sure that you've got secure fencing or keep them inside, but if whatever the thing is, just make sure that they're secure because a lot of dogs go missing this time. And think about it earlier in the day than you think you would, because even days before people start blowing fireworks off. Oh yeah. Really stress them out. So yeah. And those anxiety medications, if that's part of your management toolbox. Yeah. Yes, get in touch with your veterinarian now, not on like the 2nd. And then, although this episode may not, I don't know when I'm going to post this. So anyway, guess we'll see. The other thing would be to make sure you're giving the actual pill a couple of hours before things get weird. So like maybe at 3 p.m, because if people will start doing this black cat, whatever thingies at like 5 or first thing is or 10 a.m. Yeah, whatever. So like if you just need to keep your dog on anxiety medication for a week, that's okay. Just twice a day. Yeah. And anxiety is like I was going to bring that up. The last heat stroke I saw, it was not a very hot day, but the dog was anxious and trying to get out of the backyard. Yeah.
and he threw himself into
that makes sense.
Heatstroke.
Yeah, and like you're herding dogs and stuff, like they've got a lot of drive to them, and if they're, you know, chasing squirrels, chasing falls, chasing cars, fighting with the neighbor dog across the fence, like they would actually do something if the fence went down, you know, like they won't. Hopefully, sometimes they do, but most of the time they're all talk. Anyway, so yeah, those kinds of things can speed up the process. So just be aware, keep an eye on them, and then if you have any concerns, contact your veterinarian. If that's us, awesome. If not, you know, call them. The other thing I was going to say just briefly before we end is, you know, we actually made 6 months worth of podcast stuff-ish before we took a break for the move and transition. We covered a lot of topics. But if you are a routine listener to our podcast, first of all, thank you. And secondly, shoot us out some ideas of things you find interesting or you want to learn about, you want to hear about. You can either like email it to us. Our email is northside@nsvhok.com, or you can text it at 405-273-3700. That's probably our favoriteest way. Or you can leave comments on the actual podcast.
Live too.
On this live, if you happen to be the one person watching right now. Thanks for that. And you can, but if you're watching it back later, just put it in the comments here. Either way, we want to talk about what you want to hear about. So just let us know.
Yeah, we need ideas.
But actually, because like for us, we can't remember, like, you know, what do clients need to hear more about? Like we covered a lot of the things that we talked about on the daily. Yeah. Where we're like, man, you know, I feel like I've told this story to a different client 4 times today. Mm-hmm. And so now it's kind of like, what else do you want to learn about? You know, what personal cases have you had? And maybe we'll even do a call show one of these days. That'd be wild. That'd be so fun.
At least have people send in one little audio.
Yeah, that'd be fun. Yeah, because I don't know if I've got the skill set for all that. I might. I mean, it wouldn't be great quality. It's not like we're going to be the John Delody show.
Yeah, it wouldn't be good edit. I mean, you would have to edit it is what I'm saying. But which...
One more thing.
She's really good at editing, guys.
You say that, and this is going to sound like the
how many things I've made her cut out. It selects back together, and it sounds normal. I'm like, hey, I sounded dumb. Can you cut that out? I think we sound less dumb. Because I'm nervous.
That's only happened twice. Anyway, and it wasn't even that big of a deal. Like we corrected it in it, but he just couldn't let it go. All right.
Things go.
Okay. All right. He does. Speaking of anxiety. All right. That's it for today. Vet Tales. Thanks for being back with us.
Bye.